So welcome. We're going to walk through a fairly vigorous practice today. It's just going to be great in getting that whole body coming to life and really stimulating a lot of different chakras in your system, building into a lot of different muscle groups. So we're going to start by just coming into a seated position on our mat and coming to our breath. So just sitting nice and tall and strong. Pulling in that navel towards our spine, lengthening our spine. Taking a slight tilt in your chin, bringing it down towards your chest, lengthening that neck. And just encourage you to find the natural rhythm of your breath. Maybe bringing your hand to your heart if that's comfortable for you in your practice. You're welcome to shut down in your eyes. And just noticing the natural rhythm of your breath. Bringing your awareness to how that falls. Perhaps your breath is a little shallow in your chest. Maybe it's coming a little bit deeper from your core. Again, just bringing awareness to that natural rhythm. And just trying to elongate that breath. Feeling it rise and fall. And even though this is going to be a shorter, abridged practice today, just letting your mind wander to an intention or possibly an affirmation that you'd like to bring with you as we start to move through our body. Today, I'm going to work with an affirmation. May I have a calm mind and a joyful heart. And you're welcome to borrow that for your practice. Coming into our body, we're just going to bring our hands down towards our knees, palms facing down to the knees, and rolling those shoulders back. Letting our shoulder blades slide down our back, creating a nice open space in our heart center. Again, taking a couple of nice long breaths here before we start moving. Bringing our hands to prayer. Finding some nice space between our hands and our chest, keeping our arms engaged, pushing our fingers in towards each other, and just bringing some energy into those arms. We're going to inhale and circle our arms up, gazing up towards our hands, and exhaling, bringing the palms back down. Inhaling, coming up and gazing up, and exhaling, bringing those palms back down. And just one more time. Inhaling, taking our left hand over to our right knee, bringing our right hand behind us and just gently twisting and gazing over that shoulder. Remembering our breath here as we inhale and exhale. And on our next exhale, just releasing back to center. A round of breath here before we take it to the other side. Inhaling, coming across, bringing that hand behind our back and turning again and rotating to gaze over that shoulder. Remembering to breathe here. Again, just bringing some awareness to our spine. Nice and long and strong. And on our next exhale, coming back to center. We're just going to switch sides on our legs here. We all tend to favor one side or the other that sits in front of our legs, so just switching it up. And again, a gentle twist. Coming across, bringing that hand behind, rotating, gazing over that back shoulder, finding our breath, And if you have it in your practice, just pulling that navel in towards your spine, really engaging that core, nice and strong. And on that next exhale, coming back to center. And inhaling, coming across to the other side again, with the gaze behind that shoulder. Coming back to your breath, we're just going to move into a gentle tabletop and then get into some standing postures for our little mini practice today. So coming into tabletop, just bringing our knees so they're nice and hip width apart. Feet are facing the back of the mat, coming down onto our palms. We just want to make sure that we're nice and aligned. Palms underneath those elbows, elbows underneath those shoulders, and a nice flat back. Just going to want to bring your gaze to the top of your mat or a little bit beyond it to have a nice long neck. We're just going to start here by inhaling, looking up, dropping our belly, and coming into a nice back bend here, dropping our head. Inhaling, looking up, and exhaling, rounding out. Inhaling, looking up, and exhaling, rounding out. Inhaling, looking up, and on our exhale, we're just going to tuck our toes under and push back into a downward dog. Exhaling here. You might want to pedal your feet here if that's comfortable for you. If your heels are off the floor, that's okay. Wherever your body is in your practice today is where you're meant to be. Pushing our hips back a little bit towards the back of our mat, just coming into a full expression of the pose if you have it in your posture today. Taking a couple of breaths here. Pulling that navel back towards that spine, really lengthening out the shoulders. Letting that head fall if it's comfortable for you. And on your next inhale, we're just going to gently walk our hands back towards our body. Slowly coming up to a standing position. Just adjusting ourselves here, coming into mountain pose. So I'm just going to demonstrate here in the center of my mat. We're just going to bring our feet hip width apart, standing nice and tall, rotating those shoulders back, palms coming out to face the top of the mat, fingers spread nice and wide. Inhale, lift those toes up off the mat, and exhale down, spread them nice and wide to get grounded. Slight tilt in your chin down towards your chest, and just make sure that your pelvis is nice and neutral so it's in line with the floor. Inhaling here in mountain pose. We're just going to go through some very small sun salutations. Inhaling, bringing those arms up, looking up. Exhaling, forward fold, soft bend in those knees. Inhale, coming up to halfway, gazing up, looking out, and exhaling all the way down to a forward fold. Your hands might be more comfortable just below your knees, your calves, your ankles, or all the way to the floor. Whatever you have in your practice today. Not forgetting to breathe here. And letting that lower back stretch out in that nice forward fold. And on that next inhale, sweeping those arms all the way up, looking up and gazing at those hands, and they come down in an exhale right to heart center. We're just going to repeat that one more time. Inhaling, coming all the way up, looking up. Exhaling, forward fold with a soft bend in those knees, hands down. Inhaling, coming back up to a nice flat back, and exhaling down to forward fold. Breathing here. Again, soft bend in those knees, hands maybe to below the knees, the calves, the ankles, wherever you have it in your practice today. Just enjoying that forward fold. And I'm just going to move slightly to demonstrate from this angle. And on that next inhale, sweeping those arms all the way up, Gazing up at the palms, coming down to heart center, and exhale. You might want to give those shoulders a nice roll. And just one last time. Inhaling, coming up, exhaling, folding down, hands coming down, soft bend to the knees, inhaling to a nice flat back, looking up, and exhaling, forward fold here. And on that next inhale, coming all the way back up, gazing up to the palms, and exhaling down to heart center. Now from here, we're going to just come up to the top of the mat because it's going to be the easiest way on video to explain how to get into warrior one. We're just going to repeat that sun salutation, inhaling, coming up, gazing up, exhaling, forward fold all the way down, inhale to a nice flat back, looking up, and exhaling to forward fold. We're going to start by lifting up that left leg and placing it back behind us on a nice angle there on that left foot. Your right knee is going to come into a nice bend. Knee is not going to go past that ankle, so it's nice and aligned. We're going to take our hands to our hips and square our hips forward as we come into a forward lunge in warrior one. So you want to feel like that weight is evenly distributed across these feet, and you want to feel those hips nice and square to the front of your mat. You can keep your hands here, or you can go up into a traditional warrior one, hands up above, or you might want to even bring your hands down to heart center, whatever you have in your practice today. And again, not forgetting to breathe here. Really feeling the power of those muscles in your legs holding you nice and balanced, evenly distributed weights, and your core is nice and strong. Breathing here. We're just going to open up from here into warrior two on the same side. So we're just going to come across our body like this. Let that back leg open up so that your edge of your foot is in line with the edge of your mat. Shift that weight so it's nice and evenly distributed. You've got a great bend in that knee. It's coming right over that ankle. And just make sure your core is nice and centered. We're going to inhale and exhale our arms out, palms facing up, gazing over that bend in the knee, that palm, rotating those palms down. Just checking in with your alignment to make sure that your body is not back here, it's not back here. It's just nicely centered, really engaging those legs. Inhaling here, letting those shoulder blades rolling down your back so your shoulders aren't creeping up towards your neck. Finding your breath. Maybe coming back to that affirmation and intention that you set. On your next inhale, we're going to move our hands over our knee, coming down to the mat, rotating that back leg, placing the knee down. Just coming in to a lower lunge here. Hands to heart center. Inhaling, exhaling. And if you'd like to open it up, you can certainly open up that chest, bringing the palms facing towards the top of your mat, and exhaling, stretching those fingers nice and wide. Finding your breath here. Inhaling, bringing those hands down to the mat, coming back into tabletop. Again, just aligning those knees under your hips, hands under those elbows, elbows under those shoulders. Inhaling, looking up. Exhaling, rounding up. Inhaling, exhaling. And we're just going to come in to downward dog here, stretching out that lower back again. Again, if you have to have those feet up off the mat, that is absolutely fine, wherever your body is today. going to gently hop or step our feet up to our hands. Coming into a forward fold and inhaling all the way up and exhaling down to prayer. And then we're just going to repeat that series on the other side. So I'm going to come over here so you can see the right framework. So inhaling, coming up, out. Inhaling, rotating those shoulder blades down our back, bringing our palms out, stretching our fingers nice and wide, coming into mountain pose. We're going to breathe here for a moment, making sure that our pelvic bowl is just nice and even with the floor, so that it's not tilted one way or the other. Coming to our breath. Just going to go through a series of sun salutations here to warm up our whole body. Inhaling, sweeping our arms up overhead, palms together, and exhaling, forward fold. Inhaling, looking up to a nice flat back. Exhaling, forward fold. Letting that head hang, palms coming to the under the knees, the calves, the ankles, the floor, wherever you have it in your practice today. And just make sure that you keep that nice soft bend in your knees. You don't want to hurt yourself by having a straight leg. Inhaling, coming all the way back up, hands coming up overhead, and exhaling down to center. So I'm just going to demonstrate that here from the side. Again, feet are nice hip width apart. Getting centered and grounded into mountain pose, rolling those shoulder blades back and down. Inhaling, sweeping our arms up, looking up. Exhaling, soft bend in the knees to forward fold. Inhaling, coming up with a nice flat back, looking ahead. And exhaling down to forward fold. And again, hands to maybe below the knees, the calf, the ankles, the floor, wherever it works for you in your practice today. Inhaling, sweeping those arms all the way up, looking up, and exhaling, coming down to heart center. We're just going to lift that right foot up, place it down behind us on our mat on a nice 40-degree angle. Coming up, squaring our hips to the front, bringing a nice bend in that knee. Finding our breath. Hands can come to prayer or all the way up overhead. Finding that even distribution of weight between both those feet. Shoulders sinking down our back, not up towards our ears. Breathing here. We're just going to open up by putting our hands out, bringing that hand back across like an archer, taking that edge of our foot aligned with our mat, sinking a little bit further into that front knee, nice and aligned, gazing over that hand, rotating it back down, finding our breath, and just making sure our body is nice and centered, and our weight is evenly distributed between those feet. You may find one side is a little bit more challenging than the other. Finding your breath. Taking a turn here and bringing our hands down to the mat, rotating that back foot and letting that knee come down, making contact with the mat, toes facing out and coming up to a nice low lunge here. Again, squaring those hips so they're nice and square to the front of the mat. You may want to open up with a nice little heart opener here, hands coming wide, fingers spread nice and wide, finding your breath. Bringing those hands down to the mat, sliding that knee back. We're going to sink it back down into child's pose, bringing our knees nice and wide. Palms coming all the way out. Head making contact with the mat, with your forehead. And you can keep your hands in closer to your body if that's more comfortable for you, or rotate your arms, palms facing up. Whatever you have in your practice today. And if this was a longer practice, we'd stay in child's pose a little bit longer. So you're welcome to pause the video and do so. We're going to come onto our backs and finish up. Coming onto our backs here, we just want to adjust so that our feet are around hip width apart. Taking a breath in, lengthening our spine, really letting our shoulders sink into the mat. Palms facing up. We're just going to gently windshield wiper our legs to one side, letting the knees fall. Finding our breath, feeling that stretch across our hips. Inhaling back up to center, and exhaling them, letting them fall to the other side. And to finish our practice, we're going to gently bring our knees in towards our chest, gently rolling from side to side, perhaps doing little circles, clockwise, and then counterclockwise. I'm just going to bring our legs up to waterfall, my favorite position. Toes pointing back towards your head, soft bend of the knees. You can bring your hands to wherever feels comfortable on your mat, or if you need to support yourself, that's fine too. And we're just going to gradually exhale down one leg and then the other. Let our feet fall nice and wide. Bringing our hands a little wider away from our body, palms facing up or down, and take our Shavasana. And you can stay here for as long as you like. And I'm going to count now and close our practice. Again, feel free to pause this video at any time, and when you're ready, closing our practice with a loving kindness meditation, invite you to put your hand on your heart and offer this for yourself. May I be safe. May I be happy. May I be strong. May I live my life with ease.